Hey there YouTube, this is Sean with Average Airsoft Player. Today I'll be reviewing the DBoy Kar98K, the plastic version. Now you may notice this is not the original stock. This is actually a real steel Czechoslovakian VZ24 stock stuck on my DBoy K98. And the top piece of wood here is off a German Mauser K98, so the wood furnish is not airsoft, and it's something I picked up at a gun show and customized for this gun. Now, I have to say, it's the shell ejecting Kar98, which is pretty neat, where it ejects the shell. Pretty nifty, really unique design, but that's about where it ends. In quality, the gun lacks significantly. Well, before we get to bashing it anyways, and telling you the cool things about it too, let's go and look at a picture slideshow with the statistics of this airsoft gun.
In the midst of something that I want to play with your evil inside, wanting, letting go of what never could be, and get lost and alone, imprisoned and now in the side of your mind, with the way you tried to destroy me again. You were waiting and living for no one.
Okay, so now you've seen the statistics on the gun, you're probably thinking the same thing I was thinking and still think. That's a lot of money for a bad performing gun, which there's not much going for it in performance. This is not, I'll say it again, this is not a skirmish gun. Your pretty much going to be decimated, even if you're against other spring rifles, any type of sniper rifle, or even AEGs. This is not going to hold itself in a game. I have seen people successfully make them more accurate on World War II Airsoft Association, but remember, people that buy these guns normally, or buy them for their true purpose, it's for collectors in countries that can't own firearms, people that, like me, that don't want to throw $500 at a real steel K98 and just want a nifty little airsoft shell ejecting one, and airsoft reenactors. If you go to World War II Airsoft Association forums, you'll see a guy who actually successfully made this gun more accurate, but it took a lot of modification. And as I said, it's not worth buying if you plan on skirmishing it, unless you do World War II Airsoft reenacting, which I'm getting around to putting together a German kit. But alright, now let's move on to the internal and external structural overview. Okay, so now into the structural overview. We'll work our way from the butt plate to the end of the muzzle. First off, metal butt plate. I did clean that up and I'm starting to polish it. Metal sling hoop. One's on this side, and on the K98 stock, it'd be on the other side, but this is a VZ24 stock. Speaking of the stock, remember, this is an aftermarket stock, not for airsoft. It's a real steel conversion stock. I'll go ahead and show you the one that came with the gun, which is this cheesy plastic stock. If you've been around real steel firearms long enough, you start looking at it and kind of going, that doesn't look real good. I mean, considering what it is, it's alright. This is the top piece of wood, the heat shield that goes there. I'll bring it in close for a flyby, maybe you can see the details of it. I did remove all the metal accessories for myself, because I need to stick them on the other stock. I'll go by a little bit more. Okie dokie. It is a clamshell stock, which means it separates into two pieces, so there's a nasty seam here. Trigger guard is metal, pretty solid. It's not steel though, there's very little steel parts on here. I've taken my magnet, run it across, it sticks to hardly anything. This is mostly cheesy recycled pot metal. Trigger is metal, and for you firearm enthusiasts, this actually does have a decent feeling trigger pull, almost a real steel trigger pull to me. I have fired a real steel Mauser Kar98 and a Czechoslovakian VZ24 a long time ago, and yes, the trigger pull does feel great on it. It feels very similar to the real steel. Up here is your safety, which really doesn't work that well. You spin that, let me do it again, this knob, flip it around, but it doesn't really work well. It wears out real fast. At least when it's on the other side, you can't move the bolt. Big whoop. Alright. The entire bolt is one solid piece. The receiver is metal. And before we go too far, I'll show you how to remove your bolt. You turn it up, pull it back. This latch here which I'll bring it closer so you can see it in detail. This latch here, pull it out, bolt is removed. Now I want to go ahead and cut to a picture with me talking about the bolt on the DBoy Kar98 because there's a lot of ups and downs about it. So alright, let's cut to the bolt review. Okay, so now I'm going to cut to a separate video for the bolt. Some of you guys may be wondering, why am I making a specific thing about the bolt? That's the notorious problem with this gun. The rest of it's fine. The bolt's not, along with the shells, but I'm going to talk about those later. Some people say, my bolt broke. Okay. What broke? The handle? The shaft? I don't know. But these are the things I assume they're talking about. For me, the extractor. That's what pulls the shell out of the gun, which is that little lug right there. Sometimes it does not grab the shell and pull it out because it is worn out around the edges there. Also, the other problem I have seen with this gun is right here. This, I guess you'd call it the bolt stop. It keeps the bolt from coming all the way back out of the receiver. As you can see in this side video, while doing the shooting demonstration, the bolt actually came out on me while shooting it. That's another problem. The bolt will slide right out of the receiver once that gets worn out. Also, I don't know what people mean when they say their bolt breaks. I'm just assuming some of these things, like maybe that's what they're talking about. Another thing is the faulty safety that doesn't work very well. DBoy used to sell replacement bolts for a ridiculous $70, but they've stopped selling those, and the gun, as far as I know, is no longer being produced because I haven't seen any new ones out of China. So guys, realize what you're getting into when you get this gun. The bolts are nasty on them. I'm actually going to start hoarding DBoy K98 since I believe they're no longer produced, so I can keep mine up and running. So as I said, I've heard the extractors, the safety, and the bolt stops wear out on them. Okay, I hope the bolt review helped you out a little bit to show you how the gun functioned with the shell ejecting feature and the ups and downs of it. To reinstall the bolt, it's real easy. Pull the trigger and slide it back in. And if you don't want to load a shell in, you push down on the shells, pull the trigger to keep from cocking it, and there you go. Alright, metal barrel, which is a one-piece outer barrel. Metal rear sight that's adjustable to 2,000 meters, just like the Real Steel Kar98. It does go up to 2,000 meters. And here, metal sling hoop, which is, bring it in closer because that's a little item right there. I've also repainted this with an acrylic-based paint, which looks a lot more realistic. This bayonet lug, I do not know how authentic it is because I haven't been able to get a hold of the Kar98 bayonet to see if it would hook onto there. There would be a cleaning rod here, but that got lost. The front sight has a little bit of play in it. Under the barrel here, there is a screw to lock that on. There would be a little orange muzzle cap that plugged in there, but I pulled that out. And that's it for the external structural overview. Now, a few notes on the internal review. I did take this gun apart completely because I was curious to see if these rumors were true about the two-piece inner barrel. It is true. I don't have any idea why DBoy wanted a two-piece inner barrel. It really, I think, throws the accuracy off a little bit. Really, the accuracy problem is with the shells, which I'll pull one out here. Bring it a little closer. As you can see, there's a hole going straight through the shell. On the back side, the nozzle would push into there where there's a gasket, and you'd have a BB in here. When it fires, it blows the BB out. But these are metal shells. If they hit the ground, they start chipping. And unless you have precision tools to polish it up and buff it out and make it clean again, the accuracy will never be the same. I have those tools. I haven't cleaned it up in a while since I think it's a good review to go ahead and show you its accuracy with a used shell, which most people don't have access to the tools to clean up the nozzle of the shell itself. But that's just a part of this gun, and once again, it really throws the accuracy off. Internally, it's kind of strange, the bolt. I haven't taken the inside, the bolt apart, but from what I heard on a review on World War II Airsoft Association, it has what's called an umbrella piston, which is a really odd shape. It's like a concave shape, and there's no replacement parts on it. DBoy used to sell replacement bolts, but they don't sell those anymore, and as you know, some people have had problems. I haven't had a problem yet, but there may be one sometime soon. But alright, enough babbling about the structural overview. Let's go ahead and get to the shooting review of this gun. Okay, so now on to the shooting overview of the gun. First, we'll start with the accuracy test. Now remember, this gun is not very accurate stock, and I am using the stock 2-piece inner barrel with a well-used shell, which, as I said, I'm not going to review it based upon a brand new shell, because that only lasts for 30 shots. I'm using it on a used shell. First of all, to load it, remember I told you about the nozzle you load the BB into? I'm using a G&G 0.25 gram BB. Into the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you tap it. I'll bring it in closer so you can see. Notice how the BB sticks out just a little bit? I do that intentionally because if I shove it all the way in, you lose a lot of muzzle velocity because it's too far in, or if it doesn't go in far enough, it will not really shoot that well. It'll try to spit out or just roll out because it's not in good enough. Now how you load the shells, which I said I'm only using one for the demo, so it's a constant. You take the shell, lay it into the magazine, and just give it a good push. And it'll lock in, and there's a lip there that holds it in. When you push the bolt forward, it goes up into the neck, and then when you push the bolt down, locks into the chamber. Now we're ready to shoot. I'll be shooting at a target exactly 50 feet away. I did measure that with my tape measure controls. And I'll be using this trash can to support myself for the most accurate results. Get it? You know, accuracy for shooting, and it's accurate results. Not funny? Okay, I promise I'll stop. Okay, let's go ahead and fire 5.25 gram BBs at a target exactly 50 feet away. Okay, that was the final shot. Now let's go ahead and walk out there and see what the results are. Okay, so here's my target. It is approximately 2.5 feet by 1 3/4 foot. Now the range on this gun also suffers once the shells start chipping. I had it set to the 70 meter mark, shooting at a target 50 feet away, and I had 1, 2, 3 impacts, and I clearly saw a miss go down here, and another miss hit the grass somewhere down at the bottom. And as I said, the performance of this gun is mediocre. I have heard of successful upgrades to make this a lot more accurate, but they are homemade upgrades, not store-bought, so if you do not have the tools, I would recommend not buying this gun for yourself. Now remember, it's not a skirmish gun, it's a collector's gun, as the accuracy shows, which I'll zoom in to show you the results better. Right there, and then one BB was down there, and one hit the floor just before the target. And that is exactly 50 feet away from the position I was shooting at. Okay, so now on to the feeding demonstration. Now, the feeding sometimes is great, sometimes it sucks. It really depends. Feeding is actually really affected by the way that the barrel is meshed to the receiver. The reason I found that out is because when we put this custom stock on, I didn't know it, but the stock actually served as a support for these two to keep them together. These two screws here and here on the bottom actually affect the meshing between the barrel and the receiver. And if it's loose and the barrel and receiver are kind of like that to each other, right, of course not that extreme of an angle, but it'll start misfeeding and the extractor won't pull the shells out. And it'll just get stuck in there, and you need to get a pair of hemostats or needle nose pliers to pull them out. When it's feeding normal, it's a lot of fun. I don't have the other 3 shells, since I did get this second hand, but it is really neat. And a common complaint I've heard about this gun is the last shell doesn't quite eject right, which I'm alright, since I'm not planning on really skirmishing this except for reenactments. But I'll go ahead and show you how it works. So you just load the shells in, like that, and you're off to town. It's really neat, all this, the shell ejecting feature. Really cool. I absolutely love it. I'll bring it in a little closer so you can see it better. There's the shells in the magazine. And when you push the bolt forward, the shell goes up into the neck. When you twist it down, locks into the chamber. When you come back, you can see the extractor pulling the shell. Ejects. Really neat feature for this gun. But once again, as I said, this is not a skirmish gun. It's a collector's gun, an airsoft reenactor gun. And if you know a lot about tech work, you can get the accuracy better on this gun. Alright, let's move on to the conclusion of the DBoy Kar98. Okay, so now we've completed the overall review, let's get to the conclusion. My opinion on this gun is, it's really neat. It looks great, especially if you modify it like me and stuck the real steel stock on it. Looks absolutely gorgeous. But for skirmishing and shooting purposes, it's not worth the money that brand new. If you get it secondhand, I understand. But considering this is between $120 and $130 for the plastic version, don't get it unless you're a serious World War II airsofter, collector, or someone that cannot live without a shell-ejecting airsoft gun. You guys that skirmish, don't buy it. It's a waste of money and a waste of time. I wouldn't dare skirmish this except at World War II airsoft games, and I'm still in the process of making a custom inner barrel for this, which I have seen done on World War II Airsoft Association, but unless you have access to the tools, don't do it yourself, because you might end up breaking the gun, and then you have not just a $40 piece of junk, now you have a $140 piece of worthless junk, which you would not like. Accuracy, FPS, mediocre, less than mediocre. I've seen $12 springers shoot better than this. Actually, a $12 spring MP40 I had a long time ago shot a little bit better than this, and I actually did a review considering that the worst airsoft gun. I'm not going to call this the worst airsoft gun I've ever had, because you have to admit, it's really cool. The shell ejecting feature is very neat. I like it, and for me, it was worth the trade for my old Echo 1 Stag 15 for this. I am glad I got it, but remember, I'm a World War II airsoft enthusiast and World War II enthusiast in general. So, unless you absolutely love this, don't buy it. It's a waste of your money and a waste of your time. Alright, remember, Average Airsoft Player Television now has a Facebook page. Look up Average Airsoft Player Television on Facebook as a group. Join it, submit your pictures, and I do fan slideshows occasionally, so I can put your pictures of you, your guns, your stuff in it. And I really appreciate it, because I like knowing what my fans like. But anyhow, remember, this is Sean with Average Airsoft Player. Thank you for watching.
Completely refuse all your life. Being on your nothing, you'll never live up to me.
Damn sinuses. I hate the fall. My eyes all teary, nose all stuffed. Go to hell, Florida. Why don't I live here? I don't know. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about the bolt. There's a reason I made a specific segment for this gun, because this is the gun's weak. Yeah.